Good evening, folks. I'd just like to, before we start, I'd like to dedicate this song to a good friend of mine. We're both dead now, sadly, in some ways, but we're having a pretty good time where we are these days. He's still looking sharp in them suits. You're going to see him shortly. And I'd dedicate this song to my friend Byrne Clough. And I know he's a big fan of mine, and I hope I ain't going to let him down. I'm going to do justice, because I ain't played in a while, and my fingers are going a little bit rusty, Bri. But I'll try and do it like we did in the old days, which was rough then, too. Okay, here we go. We're going to try it one more time. Forgive me if it goes wrong. I keep a close eye on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the end out of the ties that bind. Because you're mine, I walk the line. I find it very, very easy to be true. I find myself alone each day is through. I'll admit I'm a fool just for you. I walk the line, yeah, I walk the line. I keep close eye on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the end out of the ties that bind. Because you're mine, hey man, I walk the line. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep my close watch on this heart of mine. I keep the end out of the ties that bind. Because you're mine, I walk the line. Remember we did, Brian? I keep a close eye on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the end out of the ties that bind. Because you're mine, I walk the line. Last time. I find it very, very easy to be true. Come along, I find myself a long way days through. Yes, I'll admit I'm a fool for you. Because why you're mine, I walk the line. Because why I walk the line. Yes, baby, it's true. I walk the line. That wasn't too bad for an old guy, was it? Especially a guy who played Alcatraz and St. Quentin. What do you think, Brian? Is that good? Okay, guys, you can clap for an old guy now. All right. Thank you, Quentin.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Time Tunnel TV with me, your host, Tom Warburton. Let me start by saying a big thank you to our performance, Johnny Cash. We've got a very special show in store for you today, in which we'll be speaking to the legend that is Mr. Byrne Clough. Clough will be joining us in the studio shortly to discuss his ill-fated spell as manager of Leeds United, as well as some of his unforgettable moments during his time in football. But first, we're going to take a quick look at the man himself in action.
Truthfully, Byrne is a fool of himself. I must be very, very honest here. I honestly feel that he's criticised Matt Busby, Bertie me personally, Norman Hunter, Peter Lorimer, Billy Bremner, Peter Story. He's criticised so many people in the game whose records stand to be seen. He's criticised so many people. This is his style. If he wants to be that style, fair enough. But I think that is totally, totally wrong for the game of professional football.
I would think if you'd have said any manager out of 1,000 that Byrne Clough wouldn't have been the name anybody to come up with. For our board to go and appoint him was the most amazing thing.
You ain't going to believe this, but he was a nervous man meeting us, and you wouldn't think that, would you? The first meeting, I think that was his downfall, because he actually went through, what he thought of each and every one of us. His remarks wasn't very nice, to say the least.
Well, I might as well tell you now. You lot may all be internationals and have won all the domestic honours there are to win under Don Revie. But as far as I'm concerned, the first thing you can do for me is to chuck all your medals and all your caps and all your pots and all your pans into the biggest flipping dustbin you can find. Because you've never won any of them fairly. You've done it all by bloomin' cheating. Mr. William Bremner, you're the captain, and a good one. But you're no good to the team and you're no good to me if you're suspended. I want you fit for every game. And I want good, clean, attractive football from my captain, starting next week at the Charity Shield. And you, Irishman, God gave you skill, intelligence, and the best passing ability in the game. What God did not give you was 6 studs to wrap around another player's knee. Now, things are going to be a little different around here without Don. Might feel a little strange at first, might pinch a little like a new pair of shoes. But if you want your grandchildren to remember you as being something other than the dirty beggars you once were, if you want to be loved as real champions, worthy champions, you're going to have to work and improve and change.
I think if he'd have come in and just said, look, never mind what I said in the past, you're a good side, and I only said the things I did to try and upset you a bit, professionalism, it would have been accepted. But he came in and he wouldn't let it die, he wouldn't let it rest.
And here he is. Please welcome former England striker and legend of the game, Mr. Byrne Clough. How you doing, Byrne? Come on, guys. So we'll start with your retirement from management, which was in 1993 after you left Nottingham Forest. Why did you feel that was the time for you to step down? You know, was there a certain moment that you thought, I'm going to quit? Well,
When you've got your own fans on your own bench, cheering and shouting for you to go, and these are fans that I've given my life to, well, I think it's time to go. And let them get on with it and let them see what they can do. And what happens? They get relegated.
So do you believe that was because of you, because that you left them?
Of course it is.
No other way about it?
I've always said, I might not be the best manager in the world, but I'm definitely in the top one.
There were rumours that your resignation and retirement was around the same time that you were in an ongoing battle with alcoholism. Would it be fair to say that these rumours are true?
Well, firstly, I don't like your question.
Okay.
I don't think it's reasonable to be asking me about that. But as you've asked, I'll answer. I've never been an angel, and I've always liked to drink, but I've never been an alcoholic, and I never will be an alcoholic. We're living in a pressure industry. We're working in a pressure industry here, son. Occasionally we stumble over our words. It's not the biggest crime in the world. Let's focus on the football, shall we?
Yeah, but it's said that you've turned up to even some interviews a little drunk.
You name the interview where I've turned up drunk.
It's just rumours. It's just rumours.
Rumours, exactly.
Okay, well, you obviously had your most successful period of management with Derby County and then Nottingham Forest. Which was your most enjoyable as a manager on a personal level?
Loved them. Loved them both. Loved both periods. I love football. I think it's fair to say that I had a bit of a problem with the directors at Derby.
Yep.
But I won't hold that against them. They're just doing the job, I suppose. Not very well, in my opinion, but they're just doing the job.
Yep.
As far as Forest is concerned, well, there was the problem with the fans towards the end. I suppose my dream job would be the fans from Derby and the directors at Notts.
Well, you know, you're also thought as the best manager in England, but you never got to manage the country itself. How does it make you feel?
Well, I'm disappointed sometimes, you know. I think the people that make these decisions, they really don't know much about football.
Yeah.
They don't know a good manager. They wouldn't know a good manager if they walked through the door and slapped him in the face, to be frank. But I think one of the reasons that I didn't get that job was I was too outspoken.
Yeah.
I'm the sort of person that says it as it is. And if I think something, I'll say it. I'm not one of these people that just says what I'm supposed to say.
So do you think that that's why you left other clubs, because of you were so outspoken?
Well, there's two ways of doing things. My way or the highway. And if people don't like the way I do things, we have to part company.
No, that's fair enough. Well, you were renowned for your clear dislike of football chairman, directing other management at the time. You know, why was your reason like that?
Well, as I said earlier, you know, you can't hold it against them. They're just doing the job. They're money men.
Yeah.
They're after the ticket sales. They're after the money. They don't love football. They don't understand football like I do. Football's a game. It's an art. It's a skill. They're just interested in the bottom line.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick chat with you later on. So this is all for part one of the show, but we're coming back to Brian later on. For now, it's time for the news, and we're going to jump over to Salvatore for a new feature where he's heading back to look into the major global events of each year. This week, starting with 1956, and some pretty big news. Salvi?
Thanks, Tom. We're indeed going back to the years to take a look at major newsworthy events. We're going to start with 1956, the same year our studio guest, Brian Clough, made his footballing debut. Before we recap the news events of the year, let's cross to our reporter, Sam Byrne, who has been reporting on the 1956 Olympic Games of Melbourne for us.
The Olympic Games in Australia came to an end last Monday with a water polo match between rivals Hungary and the Soviet Union. The media have already called this a bloodbath of Melbourne. This was after captains from both sides emerged from the water with blood pouring from their faces after a fight had erupted. The Russians went on to win 100 medals and finished top of the table. This is Sam Byrne reporting 3D News, back to the studio.
In other news, the first steps to abolishing capital punishment were taken as the issue was debated by the government. There were only a handful of executions after this debate, and the punishment was finally abolished in 1964. But 1956 was the first non-war year to not crown a Nobel Prize winner. The committee felt that no one had committed an act worthy of the award that year. In film, The Ten Commandments was made and proved to be one of the most popular films of all time. The film grossed $43 million at the box office. American singer Elvis Presley had the first #1 hit in America with Heartbreak Hotel. The music section of England's own Daily Mail stated, "One hit wonder tops the US music chart." Just goes to show you can't believe everything you read in the papers. And in sports, Manchester United again won the league as Duncan Edwards scored a hat-trick in a 5-0 win over Arsenal. This took just 2 years before the tragic airplane crash in Munich, which saw Edwards killed, aged 21. Thanks, that's all we have time for today here on Ed News. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Salvi. We'll be checking in on that feature regularly on Times on TV, so don't miss it. But now we'll welcome back to the studio our special guest today, Brian Clough. So now earlier in the show, we saw the VT of you portrayed by Michael Sheen in The Damned United. What do you think of the role in that?
Well, obviously it's a movie. They've got to sell tickets. They've got to fill the cinemas. They've got to use some artistic license. I thought Martin Sheen did a reasonable job. You know, I'll tell you something, son. I wish I was on his money.
Well, do you feel that he was accurate to your own personal character?
More or less, yeah, I think so. You know, he's an actor. He's probably studied the way I operate and the way I act, and he's probably trying to do a good job of mimicking me. But I think some of the times he did go over the top a little bit, you know. And yeah. I mean, sometimes I'm portrayed as some kind of demon, and I'm not a demon. I'm a nice guy.
Well, is it fair to assume that in the clip movie, you basically tore apart the Leeds United player when you were the manager there?
I think tearing them apart is a very strong phrase to use. You know, I think my job's to motivate players, and players are not going to be motivated if they've been torn apart or if they're terrified of me. You know, my job is to try and bring them on and encourage them. Yeah. But I think it is fair to say that when I went to Leeds, I did have some very strong words to say to some of those players, because my views on Leeds are not secret. You know, I think those players were cheating their way to success. Yeah. And I don't think you need to cheat in this game.
No, not at all. No, not in today's game, anyway. So, with the problems at Leeds with their boss, Don Revie, they were well documented during your spell when you were in charge at Derby. What were your main issues with the club and with Revie?
Well, the thing is with Revie is his record speaks for itself, and maybe I'm just a bit daft and a bit stupid wanting to do it the right way. But I've always said about his players, they played a dirty game. And you've got all these kids at home watching this football, and they're going out playing Sunday football, and they're copying what they see on television. And what he's doing is he's teaching these people to cheat. And I wanted to go into that club, and I wanted to turn it round, and I wanted to have success and take that team to bigger heights without cheating. Because you don't need to cheat in this game.
No, not at all. It may be a question you've had a lot. But why did you take the Leeds job, given your public rivalry with Leeds?
Well, you're asking me to repeat myself, aren't you?
Oh, pretty much, yeah.
As I've already said, you know, that club was successful. I took on a very successful club. But I wanted to continue with that success and build on it and grow it without cheating. Yeah. If you imagine that game being played without cheating, And that's what I wanted to do. And I thought I could do that. And if it wasn't for the directors and the men in suits and the players ganging up and sulking like big girls, I would have done that.
Yeah. What do you think of the modern game nowadays? Do you reckon it's just as much, or do you think you actually changed the face of football itself?
The modern game's completely different to how it used to be. In my opinion, there's too much money in the modern game.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the likes of David Beckham, you know, why does he need 4 cars? Driving around, you can only drive 1 car at a time, can't you? You know, far too much money. And the players are now, they're more interested in the money than they are the football.
Yep.
And, you know, they're walking around, they're like superstars, they're like prima donnas. They need bringing down a peg or 2.
Yeah, well, I suppose, who do you reckon will win the league this year? Who have you got your money on?
I'm probably going to get shot for this, but it's going to be the team that's got the most money. So, you know, it might be United again, or it might be City again, because they've got a load of money now, haven't they? They can buy the players. So, you know, it's not about developing skill anymore. It's not about growing players. It's not. It's about buying the most expensive one, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, do you feel that's a positive thing to show the kids, that it's more about money and not the actual skill of the game itself and hard work?
Don't get me wrong. These players work hard, and they've come from, some of them have come from nowhere, and they work hard, and they're skillful players, and they've got talent, and they've got commitment. But what I'm saying to you is, they're not from Manchester, these players, are they? They're from all over the world, and it's these Russians with all the money coming in, and they're buying all these expensive players, aren't they? Yeah. I think the players themselves, a lot of them, they're a good role model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to have to stop you there. Thank you. Thanks for coming in once again. That's all we have time for today on Time Tunnel TV. Brian, it's been an honour to have you on the show. Thanks to Salvatore Casapatelli and, of course, Mr. Brian Clough for speaking with us today. We're going to leave you with a performance now by Johnny Cash. We've been watching Time Tunnel TV, and I've been your host, Tom Warburton. Thank you for watching.
Brian, man, I have to say I like the way you think. That's the kind of way that soccer and American football should be played too. Far too much money these days, isn't it? It's all about that. So well done, man. It's a pleasure to know you. Okay, well, here's a song I know you did like, and it's probably well, I'm pretty sure it was the last song I did before I died. Let's see how it goes, eh? Okay, this is called Hurt. You can sing along if you want to. Okay. I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focused on the pain, the only thing that's real. The needle tears a hole, that old familiar sting. Try to kill it all away, but I remember everything. What have I become? My sweetest friend, everyone I know goes away in the end, and you could have it all. My empire of dirt, I will let you down, and I will make you hurt. I wear this crown of thorns upon my liar's chair, full of broken thoughts I cannot repair. beneath the stains of time. The feeling disappears. I will do me harm. I will do me harm. And what have I become? My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away in the end, and you could have it all. My empire of dirt, and I will let you down. And I will make you hurt. I hurt myself today.